Well, season one is a wrap. Let's talk about it. Folks, I am Pops, and I've been talking about school spirits kind of all of season one. So we're going to get into this a little bit. I wish I could tell you. Look, I liked Wednesday. I watched Wednesday a second time with Mrs. Pops. I enjoyed it. I think it delivered enough. Does it have issues? Sure. But I can make a case that Wednesday's kind of like a 7. It's pretty solid. It was rewatchable. It's Nancy Drew meets Harry Potter with the Addams family. Okay, I can get that. School Spirits started off with like this really interesting premise. Here's this girl, Maddie. She's woken up in the school, can't get out of the school, doesn't know why. She was murdered on the school grounds. There are other ghosts. They were also murdered or died on the school grounds. And the show basically centers around a suspect of the week to figure out what happened to Maddie. So here we are, week 8. We're going to wrap up season 1. It leaves off where we kind of have pigeonholed ourselves with only like 2 or 3 characters left to blame for Maddie's murder. We don't really know exactly what to do. And the most odd was that they ended up putting some of the stress or anxiety on the mom. And I'm like, okay, well, that really is going to be a hard sell. And that's kind of where we pick up. And Maddie is top of the school when the show starts. This is a long episode, it's like 50 minutes. Doesn't quite know what to do with herself, doesn't quite know what to think. I think Peyton List, again, continues to excel in this role. I think she's very, very good in this sort of like type of character. And they sent Simon in. So when we leave off, or where we were last time, there's a friend named Nicole. We'll show Nicole in a moment. She had buried some money, and the money's missing. They think mom has it, and they've asked Simon to come up with a generic reason to go into the house to look for this money. He finds an envelope, but it's not what he expects. But she's very suspicious. We don't know exactly what's going on. And he kind of races away, and they head back to school. Then we get the credits. That's where that goes. And this is kind of where we ended up. All right. So Simon is presenting what he found, and that is there's a necklace. How on earth could mom have the necklace? She had the necklace in school, and now that she's dead and she's trapped in the school as a ghost, she doesn't have the necklace. The necklace missing, so therefore the necklace is likely a clue to who the murderer is, which again, double down on mom. Where is she? Maddie doesn't quite know how to take all of this, but she does know that she can see through her mom's lies. And I guess, look, Peyton List is very popular because of her role in Cobra Kai. Her role here and her role there, other than like there's not really that angry version of Maddie like her Cobra Kai counterpart, but all of the other emotional stuff and being the victim and the teen angst and all that, she's pretty much the same character and delivers accordingly. Okay, this is Claire. Claire is the love interest of the boy that cheated. We're just going to skip right over that because Claire's not going to matter. We're going to get to her in a minute. This is Mr. Martin, who's running the ghost therapy session, and everyone is sort of like befuddled over what happened recently. There's a character named Janet. She was a ghost, and then suddenly lights flicker, things get crazy, and Janet's no longer there. Like she's, quote, moved on, or she's escaped the situation, something like that. And Mr. Martin, as always, has been acting pretty strange. He's acting very, very strange. They're pressing him very hard, and he comes out about like, what's going on. I thought there was going to be some dialogue here, buddy. Get on with it.
Fatal error.
So, all right. I just regret they're showing that clip because that's not the emotional outburst. He just gets all weird talking about this fire and how he passed away. The first time we really get much of anything from his character, you just know something's not right. That's all. Something smells in Denmark kind of thing, right? Maddie's freaking out. Wally is the 80s jock kid. He died during a football game. Nice kid, good actor. It's done pretty well. They've had nice chemistry all season long. And she's kind of like fearful, like, is it my mom? Can I even handle that? Do I want to know the truth? And that's kind of where it wraps up. She's having this meltdown with Wally over that. It's actually played pretty well. Blah blah blah. Scene with teacher, we don't care. Blah blah blah. Scene with the sheriff and Xavier, don't really care. There's an address of them like having a lead. That's basically the end result of this scene because otherwise it doesn't matter. There's a lot of Scooby Dooing going on in this show too, by the way. So Charlie's not letting things go. He's suspicious with this is another ghost named Rhonda. She's kind of like she was murdered and she's kind of like an odd character. So this is the Simon trying to figure out what happened with mom stuff's getting set up while the Scooby-Doo gang is going to be looking. You have Wally and Charlie who find out they're going through all the news articles of their check. I don't understand why all of this has not already happened. They've been dead a long time, but it seems like suddenly at the end of the season, we're not going to rush a whole lot of plot points together into research and development, trying to figure out what's going on. So now there's conveniently clues that they had never spent any time trying to unearth. And they're now going to try to do that. And they realize there's Janet's name. She's tied to the fire that Mr. Martin had brought up earlier in the season. And you have this back and forth with the mom explaining the necklace situation. Well, she's a drunk, right? So she shows up at school the day Maddie gets killed. And she's acting like a buffoon as always. They get into this massive fight. And she's like, she got duped into like a financial scam, gave away all their money, which included all of her, Maddie's money to go to college. Like that was the money when dad died. That was my money. You want to give away everything. And she's having this memory. Like she's remembering things for the first time too. So she's filling in pieces as the mom is explaining it. And she basically gives up the necklace. And then she's there weeping in that area. Okay. That's how it all kind of plays out. And we kind of move forward into Scooby-Doo gang mode where Nicole, Claire, and Xavier are following that address while these two are in this like the science room that's not the science room, but was a temporary science room. And they find clues. Again, more Scooby-Dooing. And Mr. Martin basically has been keeping like psych data on everybody. He has like memorabilia or some sort of item that's tied directly to each of the kids' deaths or each of the person's death. This is the okay. So the teacher scene earlier was about this award that Maddie was going to receive. Simon doesn't want to be involved, asks the mom to do it. So you have this scene where Maddie's listening on, and you feel like the only point of this scene was to let Maddie have some closure and might move on. And that's pretty much the only reason this scene was going to happen, but then nothing happens. And then she basically just tells Mr. Martin, I think I can write my obituary now. So you get this sense of like she's okay with having closure, which points to the Janet situation of maybe this is her chance to move on. This is what we'll get to see. So Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo. They do all this stuff, and there's someone else in the house, and they just race out. I don't think there's anything that was found in the house. I don't think there's any clues in the house. I think there's something like that. But someone is stealing the truck and trying to drive away. So they're running around like crazy, and they run outside, and someone's going to drive away in the truck. So they're trying to get away, and they back in and knock Xavier over, basically give him like a concussion. And everyone's racing to his aid. And Nicole, being the exact representation of this generation, she just got her phone out filming it, right? Yeah, that was her on. That's her on the left there filming. Like she's in the background. You'll see her. She's got a camera filming. That's her big contribution to all this. She doesn't stop filming, by the way. So she tries to zoom in. She tries to figure out who the driver is. And all right, back to the Scooby-Doo team part 2, the Ghost Scooby-Doo team. They're finding clues. This is where they found all the stuff that's being hidden in there. And then, of course, they figure out who was driving. He sees blood. He passes out. Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of Scooby-Doo stuff at the end. Like we've had a whole season to move through and set some of this stuff, and we wait till this very last minute. And it's all very rushed. It's very emotional. Simon meets with her on the roof because he gets the video or the clip or whatever from Nicole after this big emotional I love you too kind of thing. And you think it matters, or you're waiting for some sort of twist that maybe Simon's involved or something. Maybe there's something of like major, like a substance kind of thing that hits. It does not. He shows the photo, and the photo is not what we expect. And it is of Maddie, and we don't quite understand. We think because Simon's like, well, am I having a nervous breakdown or not? What's going on? I don't understand. This is Maddie. This is you. How can you be out there and in here? Like, I think I'm having a nervous breakdown. But she actually is a ghost. So when she tries to run after him, she's sucked right back into where she passed away. And then she starts having a flash to then and now. It's a little confusing of how all this kind of shakes out. But basically, long and story is the door. Mr. Martin was doing something with Janet. The door flings open. The spirit escapes. Janet runs out. It's like in Maddie somehow, some way. And Maddie isn't really Maddie. Maddie is Janet. So there's a Janet. There's a Maddie on the outside that is in Janet. Janet's in her body, and there's Janet, the dead, that's in the school. And somehow there was a transference, and that's how this show ends. And I was so disappointed. Can't give this a 7. Falls back quite a bit. Didn't dislike it. Will say at least they moved through the whole season where it's relatively okay for teens and it's interesting conceptually. Some good stuff happened, but basically it was like rush. I feel like, again, Hollywood problem. Early episodes are really good. Last episode's good because that's what the creators wrote. Fill in fluff. This is where we're at. That's my take on it. I'm Pops.